Hello students, in this video I'm going to explain how to import or export data between MySQL database and Pandas. For this I'm going to use Jupyter notebook for writing Python code and MySQL database. So for the practical implementation of this concept I'm going to use two libraries, that is Pandas and SQL Alchemy. So I'll import these two libraries. Okay. So for implementing the overall concept of importing and exporting data between MySQL database and Pandas, there are three major steps that we have to take. First is creating a connection between MySQL database and Python. Okay, and second step is to import data from MySQL database to Pandas data frame, and third step is to export data value from data frame to MySQL database. Okay, so there are various methods that are used to perform this task, and these methods are defined in the libraries, that is the Pandas libraries and SQL Alchemy. Okay, so first of all we have to create a connection, and for this we have to use create engine method, which is defined in SQL Alchemy, and the parameter that we have to pass is the information that is used to connect MySQL database and Python. Okay, in this we have to write the dialect, that is nothing but the database, and followed by the username, the password and host name, and followed by database name. Okay, so let me create a connection. SQL dot create engine, and this parameter is this parameter will come in the form of URL. So first of all what I have to write is I have to write the database. In this case I'm using MySQL, so I have to write MySQL. Okay, and followed by colon, double slash, and then username. In my case the username is root, and followed by colon, and then password, and @ host is local host in my case, followed by database name. So here I have to write the name of the database in which I have to perform this task. Okay, okay, after creating the connection, the next step that we have to do is we have to import data from MySQL database to data frame. So for this we have to use read SQL method, which is present in Pandas library. Okay, what does this method do is that it is used to read data from MySQL database and store it in Pandas data frame. Okay, so next is I have to create a data frame pd dot read SQL by reading information or data value from the SQL database to Pandas data frame. So for this method I have to pass some parameters. Two important parameters that I have to pass is the query and then the connection. Query is nothing but the SQL query that we have to write in order to fetch data from the MySQL database. So here I'll write select star from student. So before writing this query, we have to make sure that this table is present in the MySQL database. So here I can see student table is already present in this database. Okay, fine. The next parameter that we have to pass is the connection. Here the connection object is engine, so I have to write on equals to engine. Okay, and after that I will print the data frame. So after executing this program, it must display a data frame which contains all the data values that are present in the student table of MySQL database. Okay, so here I am able to see a data frame which contains a roll number, name, class and section. Okay, so I will tally it with the data which is present in the database. So in this database also I have a table which contains the columns roll number, name, class and section. Okay, so this is the process of importing data value from MySQL database to data frame. Okay, this is the second step. The third step and the last step is to export data from the data frame to MySQL database. Okay, so for that there is a method there is a method that is to_SQL. So what does this method do is that it is used to create a table into MySQL database and export the data values from the Pandas data frame into that table. So what does this do is that it will export the data value from the data frame and store it in a table in the MySQL database. Okay, and the parameters that we have to pass in this method is name of the SQL table that we want to create, followed by connection, and there is one more parameter, if exists, whose default value is fail. So what does it do is that if I will write a table name which is already existing in the SQL database, then it will return an error. So it will not create that table. Okay, but there are two more values that I can pass for this particular parameter, that is replace. If I write replace instead of fail, then what will it do is that it will replace all the existing data value with the new data that is exported from the data frame to the MySQL database. Okay, and there is one more value, that is append. What does it do is that if a table is already existing, then it will keep the existing value as it is, and it will add the new value to that existing table. Okay, and there is one more parameter which is index. Default value of index is true, which means that the index value which is present in the data frame will also be included in the SQL table. So if we don't want the index value to be included, then we have to make this value as false. Okay, so let me implement the third step. So for this I have to create, first of all I have to create a data frame, right? So for creating a data frame, let me take a data value from here. So this is the data that I am going to use for creating a data frame. So here you can see that I am using a dictionary of series for creating a data frame. Okay, so data frame is created. Now what I want to do is that I want to export this data values, that means this data frame, the information in this data frame, into the MySQL database. Okay, that is the third step, that is our third step. So for that what we have to do is we have to call this method. Okay, so what I have to write is I have to write the data frame name dfrm followed by dot and then to underscore SQL, and this in the parameter I have to pass the name of the table, name of the SQL table. So I will write it as let's say attendance. Okay, and then the connection, and one more parameter is there, that is if exists equals to so here what I want to do is that I want to replace the information if that table is already existing in the MySQL database. So what I have to write is I have to write replace. Okay, and there is one more parameter, that is index, right? And I will and I don't want to include the index value in that table, so I will write it as false. Okay, fine. So I will execute this program. Okay, the data frame is already shown, and I will see in the MySQL database whether that table is created or not. Yes, it is created, a table is created, and that table name is attendance. So I will write a query to check whether that information or data value is exported from the data frame to this MySQL database. Start from attendance. Yes, it is exported. There are 10 values in this table, right? And we have exported 10 values from the data frame to MySQL. So this is the last step. For importing and exporting data between MySQL database and Pandas. I hope that you have understood this concept. Please go through this video again and again if you don't understand, and let me know if you still want some other examples. Okay, thank you.